This is Ready, Set, Reiki, a podcast about Reiki and all energy work, from the curious beginner to the seasoned master teacher, welcoming all systems, all lineages, all levels. Reiki is a journey and not a destination. And on this Ready, Set, Reiki journey, I refer to myself as a guide rather than host, as I too am traveling, learning, and supporting others on this Reiki journey as well. And with that said, I am your guide, Tracy Seawright, and this is Ready, Set, Reiki. Hello, Reiki family, Reiki blessings to you, one and all. Another adventure, another journey ahead. But before we begin, I'd like to tell you about a very special place on Facebook, and that is the Reiki Business Collective. This is where you can share, support, and serve. Christian Stone offers a fantastic place right on Facebook, so it is free. Come on, be a part of the community no matter where you are. And don't let that business word fool you. Anywhere you are on your journey, whether you are a beginner, you're in the middle of a business, whether you're just starting it, it is a great place to start, a great place to be in community. And I want you to know that on this journey in energy work, that you are never alone. So you're not on an island. There is a great place here to get support, meet people, network, fabulous place. Now, coming up, Reiki Business Summit, April 18th to 19th. And there's someone on there that looks pretty familiar. That's me. And two of my teachers will be speaking as well. So check that out if you're interested in diving a little bit deeper. Lots of wisdom here right on this page here, and it's going to be spoken, and lots of information that'll be helpful on your journey. Well, back to our journey. So my guest today, Jen T Peterson. Now, she is a self-trusted igniter who works with women when internal noise disrupts their clarity, decision-making, and momentum. Now, she's brought in when strategy isn't the issue, but something beneath is interfering with visibility, boundaries, or leadership. She defines visibility as being seen and leadership as staying true to who you are. Her work restores clarity so decisions hold and women move forward without force and self-abandonment. So let's give a warm Ready, Set, Reiki welcome to Jen.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome. So let's get started on our journey. I told our listeners just a little bit about you, but I know there is so much more. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So originally I am from Pennsylvania, but I moved to New York in my 20s to be a advertising executive. And that's where I spent most of my career, was in helping brands really, get in front of millions of people. I've sold billions of products to millions of people. And that's kind of where my body really suffered, because I was called to do something more. And this just really didn't feel like what I was supposed to be doing with my life. And then I also am a mother to my 13-year-old daughter, Lucy. I have some puppies. I have 2 dogs, named Zeus and Buttercup. I'm the captain of a softball team, a co-ed softball team called the Golden Gloves, and I've played softball my whole life. So I, have lots of different interests, and I work at a horse rescue, and I have 40 horses that we have at the rescue, Rising Star Horse Rescue in Wilton, Connecticut. So that's really my heart work.
Beautiful. I love it. So on our journey today, we're talking about Reiki. So Reiki, when did it come into your life? Did you find Reiki, or did Reiki find you?
Yes, Reiki found me for sure. It hunted me down. So after I moved out of being in a corporate job, I became a life coach, and I hired a business coach after I was done with my life coach training. And it was the strangest business coaching experience. We were in a group, and she kept doing all this energy work. And I was like, what? And I was like, what is with the energy work? And she says, oh no, I'm a Reiki master. And I was like, what is that? Like, I don't even understand what that is. And then I started to notice that the people that I was meeting and like connecting with, they were all Reiki masters, and I still didn't know what it was. But it was just kind of hanging out there. And I remember when I was in life coach training, I was really fascinated with the energy healing and like the way energy worked and how it felt in your body. And all of that was really fascinating to me. So when I was, my daughter was about 3 or 4 years old, I was like pushing her in the stroller, and I would always pass by this shop called Crystal Essence. It was in Massachusetts. And my body would just like zing every time. And I thought it was like those places that sell crystal glasses and dishes and things like that. And I thought, for sure, I'm not going in there with my little girl because she'll break everything. And so after a while, every time I would go by, I'd feel that. So I finally like found somebody to watch my kids so I could just go in there and see what in the world this was, because I knew to pay attention to these signals. And it turns out it's a crystal shop, like where they sell stones, and it's sort of metaphysical shop. And I went in and I bought 2 stones. I bought a black tourmaline and a rhodochrosite, I believe it's called, for the heart chakra. And I didn't know anything about them. Those are the ones I was drawn to. And when I paid for them, they asked me if I wanted to be on the mailing list. I was like, sure, put me on. And I get home, and the first email I get from them is a Reiki training for level 1. And I just got the same zings. And it happened to be, it was hosted at that place. And so it was fascinating to like, I went and I did this level 1 training without even knowing what Reiki was. So I thought, after I had this amazing experience, and we were able to share how our experience was with the group of people that were there, and everybody was saying the same things, even though all of our eyes were closed and we were having our own internal experiences, they were all pretty similar. And that to me was like completely fascinating. So when I was done, I went downstairs to the Crystal Essence because they had some books on Reiki. I thought, well, perhaps I should learn something about this. So I picked up a random book and I opened it to a random page. And we were allowed to actually draw some of the experiences. And I remember opening the book and seeing what I had drawn, which was, now I understand, because after I read the book, I understood that in the caption of the photograph, it was the picture of a Milky Way. And what I was seeing was like these purple swirls in my eyes. And it said that the picture of the Milky Way that was in this book is actually very similar to the first symbol of Reiki. And you get that when you get attuned. And I didn't know what that was or anything. It was just so fascinating to me how everything was so connected. And I was hooked after that.
Beautiful, beautiful. So now that the energy has shown you what Reiki is,
Yeah.
as you've been navigating through this wonderful stress reducing modality, what are some of the misconceptions you hear about Reiki?
Well, I think that the biggest misconception that I notice is that people think that we're doing Reiki, like that I'm going to do Reiki to you. And really, it's Reiki, even like a Reiki master, like the master is the energy. It's not you, as like, it's not an ego thing. It's not that you've studied so hard and all that, even though you do a lot of studying when you're doing this modality, but just the concept of that you are doing something. And really what's happening, I believe my job is just to be a clear channel so that Reiki can run through me and go to wherever it needs to go for the healing. And I think that's probably the biggest misconception, is that people think that we're doing something with our own energy, or we're sort of, I don't know, just like manipulating it or whatever, but really we're just the clear channel for the healing to happen from source energy.
Beautiful, beautiful. So as you learn Reiki, as you're learning and growing, a life coach, helping others through their healing, leadership, staying true to oneself, restoring clarity, decision-making, moving forward without force and self-abandonment. When you stand back and look at your own life, what are some of the biggest challenges or struggles you have faced in your own healing journey?
Oh my, all of those things you just said. I think that the biggest challenge that I had was being visible. And like really being able to explain to people what was going on, how they could do this work, and what kind of benefits that they would get. Because I kept feeling like it was the modality. I need to tell them like what I'm doing. As you know, I work with horses. So being able to do this, any kind of work, whether it's coaching or healing in the presence of horses, and bring that experience to life in marketing, whew. And I'm literally an award-winning marketer. Like that's part of my story. And it was really a big challenge. And I know that it's there because this is the gift that I have to give to people, is to help them with their own visibility and their own leadership and things like that. And so I think the biggest challenge for me is being able to get out there, not care what other people think, like not worry about the judgment that people are having. And, my biggest gift to other people is helping them release fear, because I've had to release my own fear myself. And now that I understand how to do that, I help people with just 4 little simple steps, and they can release the fear, instead of that concept of you have to feel the fear and do it anyway. Like, I don't believe in any of that. I think that if we do that, it actually backfires. Like if we're afraid to be visible and then we try to push through it, we either get too exhausted, burned out. We're like, I got to lay down for 3 days so that I can recover from my vulnerability hangover, all of that. I think that's definitely been a challenge for myself and part of my own healing journey. And now, I go live on Facebook once a week. Like I can do all kinds of things now and have to worry about what anybody else thinks.
Well, bravo for you for taking really, those kind of obstacles that you've had in your life, getting through them, and then turning around and helping others. I mean, what a beautiful gift to give also to yourself as you're giving to others as well.
Yeah. And the fear of being seen, it is a big one, especially for people that are drawn to the healing arts.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's because we're afraid of it because maybe in a past life we've had an experience where, maybe we were silenced or maybe even killed for speaking the truth, for doing the healing arts, for any of these kinds of things. It's a big one. And a lot of times it's like the fear of the fear, like we don't even want to look at it. And so, we won't share our gifts, and that's actually not the reason your soul is here.
Sure. It's a lot of those wounded healers, right?
For sure.
So when it is time for you to get an energetic tune-up, what are some qualities that you look for in a Reiki practitioner?
So the qualities that I'm looking for is someone who is doing their own work. If they are not getting their own work done, and I actually believe that, yes, we can do it on ourselves, but I do think that it's better when we do healing work with someone else, because they can see your blind spots. You cannot. And so I totally believe in that. So I want to make sure that they are doing their own healing, because I don't want to be in their having them work on me if they haven't worked on themselves. That's definitely an important piece of it. And I also love to experiment with different modalities. Like I'm fascinated with energy. So I'm always looking for what is the different way of a different angle, or, am I do I feel like a connection to this person? Like, what that feels like. You feel like you've just known each other your whole lives, kind of a thing. Like I love that kind of a connection.
Right. When you connect with someone and they're like, how long have you known each other? Since Atlantis.
Exactly.
Times, right?
I do love that. And I also love when the universe shows me like who the person is. I'll if you will indulge me, I'll tell you how I met my second Reiki master. So my first Reiki master, I thought I'd be with her at least until, level 2. And I knew I couldn't work with her for level 1 because she would only train people that were like local to her. And I didn't live in Massachusetts, but I wanted to at least do level 2. And every time she would put a level 2, it wouldn't work. And I thought, oh, interesting. And I didn't remember, I don't even know what Reiki was at that point. So I couldn't find Reiki masters in my area.
Yeah.
And I was doing a meditation and Reiki master came to me like those words in my meditation. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it one more try. I'm going to go on to Google and see if I can find somebody that can teach me at least to level 2. And I go and do a search and I find this woman, her name is Gail Christie, and she is a Holy Fire Reiki master. I didn't know what any of that was, but she happened to have a Reiki training level 2. And it said you didn't have to be level 1 with her. You could just do it if you were already level 1. And I booked it. I paid for it. I was all excited about it. And it was the only weekend that I could do it. It was like all the stars were aligned. And I get a phone call from Gail. And she says, Jen, I'm so excited that you want to join to do Reiki with me, except how did you find that link? That's not, I canceled that. It's not even available.
Oh,
She's like,
no.
close the link down. How did you do that? She was so fascinated. I was like, the universe, like, I love the internet because there's so much stuff we don't know. And it like allows the universe to just give us little gifts like this. And so she's like, listen, there was one other person who wanted to do it. So if she says yes, I'll do it for you. And I was like, of course you're going to do it for me, because otherwise, why would that have even happened?
Right, right.
Yeah. And it was such a powerful experience. So I definitely, I let myself be guided by the universe on those types of things as well.
Beautiful. And it was interesting because I saw somebody post today. They're like, do I have to stay with the same Reiki master through different levels? And that was a great example right there of who you feel called to and how the synchronicities happen in a way, and how beautiful that you had that opportunity, right?
I always say that I collect Reiki masters now.
There you go. Very good. Very good. I love it. I love it.
Reiki masters, because I think that every time you get an attunement, you're shedding a layer of an identity, and it really helps you, your soul's light shine through the more you get attuned.
I love it. I love it. So being a life and business coach, as you stand here looking back at everything you've gone through, what advice would you give to someone who wants to leave the corporate world or their current job to enter this spirituality work?
I think my biggest advice would be for them to follow their intuition, follow their heart, because a lot of times when we're in these corporate jobs, we're so steeped in sort of the 3D world that everything is logic, everything is, it's got to be linear this way. One of the things, I'm a shamanic Reiki master teacher, and what I learned in that modality is that everything isn't aligned in a linear way. Like time is just something that we constructed. And I remember when I got my level, I became a shamanic Reiki evolving master teacher. I started with shamanic Reiki master practitioner. Then I took level 1. Then I took level 2. Then I took level 3. Then evolving master. Like I did it all over the place. And it was okay, because if I was meant to do this, that means I already had the information. Like I didn't really need so much linear training. So I think my advice would be just to follow your body, follow whatever, if you have clairsentient or any of that, or if you have no clairs, remember, like, or you think you don't have any clairs, know that you actually have all the clairs. Everyone's got the ability to sort of really trust themselves and trust their intuition in what is the next step for you, and not to try to bite off everything if it feels overwhelming. Like just do the next step and see how that feels, and then check in on the next step and see how that feels.
Beautiful. Some great advice. So what books do you recommend?
Oh, so actually funny. I was like, when I was thinking about that question, this is the book that I picked up at that crystal essence that I was talking about. It's called Traditional Reiki for Our Times. It's practical methods for personal and planetary healing by Amy Z. Rowland. What I love about this book is like, it's got like all the different hand positions, and like, it's very practical, but it also, to me, it was like a pretty easy read, basic things that somebody might want to do. So I love that one for somebody who's just starting out. For those of us who are like fascinated with energy and like all in, if you haven't read, this is more energy, not necessarily Reiki, but it's called Power versus Force by Dr. David R. Hawkins. This is a really amazing book. And what I love about it is as you read it, you are like a different person every chapter, and your frequency rate goes up, your consciousness expands as you read this book. It's pretty fascinating. And the things that it will like I felt like every time I turn a page, my mind was blown, which I kind of love that when I read a book like that.
I love it. So what other services or modalities do you offer?
So I offer Equus life and business coaching and shamanic Reiki master services. So any kind of energy healing in the presence of horses. And what's really fun is that I started doing that work in person with my clients. And then I realized that I could actually do, just as you can do distance Reiki over the phone, you can actually do the work with the horses over the phone. And so I will be helping people with whatever, issues that they want to bring. Mostly around visibility, income, not burning out and anything like that, which has been really fun to like help people release their fears. And doing it virtually with the horses is blowing my own mind. I even have done it in group settings where people were being coached in the group, and then I would focus on one person, and then I would ask the whole group after that one person was coached, who was that coaching for? And every single person would raise their hand because they're all seeing something different and everybody's got the same stuff. So it's it really kind of blows your mind when you think about that.
Oh, yeah.
So that's been really wonderful to be able to do that. And then when I work with people, because I work at a horse rescue, for every person that works with me, we save America's horses, which is really beautiful, from slaughter, abuse, and neglect.
Oh, thank you for doing that. Some people are traditionalists and believe, hands-on, it has to be hands-on with, attunements and everything. You can't do it online. And I had gone somewhere. I traveled about an hour away from where I lived to go to visit this horse. And, they were asking, what's its favorite food? All the questions that you'd think people would ask. And I was trying to tune in and gave me little bits of pieces of information. I said, well, listen, it might take a little while to warm up, right? Then the session was over and I kind of felt like, okay, well, the horse wasn't very forthcoming. About 2 weeks later, the horse, I saw a vision of the horse. And it came through that he had this upset stomach. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, this person's going to think I'm crazy. So I messaged him like, hey, this happened. The horse is telling me he's got like a really upset stomach and feels like really nauseous. And she had confirmed that he had gotten out of surgery and had a procedure, and it was possibly from the anesthesia. But it's like, look at that connection just from that and that validation. But so that's what I mean. It probably surprises you when these things happen. It's like, wow. And I wasn't even where I was there with hands-on. And he was just like, no, I'm not having it today. I don't want to do this. But he had enough trust in me that he connected with me right there. And she's like, he just got out of surgery like an hour and a half ago. How did you know that? And I'm like,
yeah, you don't know. He just felt safe enough to come to you.
Exactly. He felt safe enough because I said, listen, it's a little hard out of all, animals. There's certain ones that are, from my experience, I don't know yours. I mean, you have 40 horses, right? Takes a little while for them. And this horse had a little interesting history to it. But yeah, it's kind of, I've seen it with my own eyes, right? I've experienced it as you have as well.
Yeah. So what was the most surprising thing to me when I started working with the horses is, well, not even when I started, I didn't even realize this until I was probably a few years into it. And I was in a paddock with this woman. I normally would do the Reiki, like we'd be in the paddock. She was talking to me about some pain that she had in her hip for 6 months. And she's like, the doctors can't figure it out. I don't know what to do. I'm really hurting. And she was on the older side, and it was really hard for her to walk around. And normally I would just go and put my hands on and do all of that. And I started to walk over to her to take care of it. And I heard the horse say, no, I got this. And I was like, what? Like that was like surprising to me. And he came over, and his name was Clancy. And I had to ask the client, like, are you okay with this? He wants to do it. And she's like, yeah, let's do it. And he started to put his mouth right on kind of like the middle of her thigh on the side. And he was pulling the energy out of her thigh. And you could see him with his mouth pulling, but not touching her with his teeth or anything, just kind of like pulling and yawning. It was crazy. And she's like, okay. And we just let it happen. I kept checking in with her, making sure she felt comfortable with this. And she's like, yes. And when it was finished, she didn't have any more pain. And she said what was most shocking was that the doctor, and she didn't tell me this until after, the doctor told her that where his mouth was where the source of the pain was coming from, and that it was just shooting up into her hip. It wasn't actually the hip problem. It was like whatever was going on in her thigh. And the horse just knew where the energy block was. And then she was totally fine after that. She had no more pain, which was so fascinating. And I realized in that moment, I'm like, oh, the horses are the best Reiki masters, because they're just helping us with energy constantly. They're just always like pulling it out. When they see it's blocked, they pull it out. Like I've laid people on tables in front of horses before, and like they point to where, like I had them point, like tell me where the block is instead of me. I could do it myself. But at the time in my journey, I was feeling a lot of the person's pain in my body. So I was like, maybe I can do this a different way. Maybe the horse can just tell me what to do so I don't have to feel the pain.
Yeah.
And then I would do the Reiki, on the places. And it was like always so relevant to the person of where I was going. And so then having this experience, it was even better because I started to ask for the information differently. I was like, I would like it in words instead of in my body. Like I really was learning through my own journey.
Beautiful. I love that. Do you offer any classes, events, trainings?
So I am a shamanic Reiki master teacher, but I actually have not been doing the trainings. I like to teach through when I'm working with people, I'll teach them, but I don't like do these like big group trainings like other people do. I do have a training coming up on March the 20th, just on releasing fear, the 4 vital steps to release fear. So that will be coming up, and that's probably the highest service that I can do, because there's lots of other people that love to do the teaching and love to do it in group settings. I like to do it one-on-one.
That's all good. All good. Everyone has their own purpose. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So where can we find you if you want to get in touch with you in person or online?
So I'm at Rising Star Horse Rescue is where I would do the work in person. But you can definitely reach out to me on my website at jentpeterson.com. It's JENNTPETERSON.com. And you can book a call with me there, and we can chat about how we can work together. And you can also follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at Jen T Peterson, and also on Facebook.
Beautiful. All right. Well, that ends the first part of our journey. I'm going to guide you to the second part, which are questions from social media and from Reiki students. So here we go. Number 1, in your experience working with women, why are boundaries important?
Oh my goodness. Well, definitely boundaries are important, because I don't think that boundaries are necessarily about like pushing people away. I think it's about keeping your energy intact, and so that you can actually stay present and be generous with people without actually depleting yourself. Because many women are naturally intuitive and empathetic, and they can feel other people's emotions, other people's stresses and their needs. But without boundaries, there's like unconsciously, they start carrying other people's energy that's not theirs. And that can be just people you bumped into at the grocery store, or it could be your family members, or it could be from past generations. We hold our family lineage, like I think it's like 7 generations are still stored in our DNA. So there's a lot that we can be exposed to. And that can really lead to feeling exhausted and being anxious and sometimes resentful. And oftentimes it's very confusing, because you're like, this doesn't feel good and I don't know where it came from. Right. And what I find is that the people that I'm working with, I usually work with the healers and I work with the coaches, because they're carrying a lot of what other people that they're working with. And if they are coaches and they don't understand energy, they're not protecting themselves well, there can be a lot of that going on. And also there's a lot of overgiving that happens in our industry, where they think it's not enough. And so they want to give. And that actually knocks the energy out of balance. Yeah. So the people that are doing this, that are like doing the heart work, the healing work, are actually the ones that need the boundaries the most. And they're the ones that usually don't put up the boundaries. They want to give. Mm-hmm. So that really overwhelms your energy field. And it also makes you not a clear channel for healing when you do this. And so it's really important to protect yourself and to hold these boundaries, because in order for you to be present, intuitive, and discerning, boundaries are really important. And I find that the boundary is, you'll notice it, your body will usually give you a signal that there's something else going on, that someone's like expecting more of you or something like that. The body always knows, and it will know when someone is open. It will know when you're contracted. It will know when you feel clean in your energy, and it knows when you're draining. So if you can check in with the body signal, that's really going to be super useful, and why I think it's really, really important.
Beautiful. Number 2, What inspired you to focus on assisting women to stay focused without the distraction of force or self-abandonment?
Well, let's see, power versus force. So I noticed, the reason I read that book is because I noticed that when I was coming in from the corporate world, everything is about force, force, force. And really there's this dance that we do with like control and surrender, right? It's like you hear, oh, you should surrender. But if you are wanting, especially like when I think about manifesting, I love manifesting because I think, oh, I can control everything if I manifest. But actually that's the opposite of, what's actually happening. Sometimes you need to surrender to what's going on so that the outcome is for the highest good. And so I noticed that I was doing it too. And when I started to realize, oh, I'm not supposed to be pushing a boulder up a hill. I'm supposed to go with the path of least resistance. And sometimes that's hard when you're in a situation and you want to kind of manipulate or control the outcome so that you get what you want. But really, that's not it. So I found that to be what I was experiencing. And then my clients were coming to me with the same things because we're always attracting, right, what we have either been through and just healed for ourselves or what we're currently going through. I find sometimes the clients show us where we need to do our work. Right. And so that's really, I just was experiencing a lot of healers coming to me, a lot of coaches coming to me, and they were trying to make things happen. So a lot of times people come to me for client attraction, but they're trying to force people to work with them and convince them, and all of these energies that actually don't give you you think it's the right thing because you might have been told by someone who doesn't know about energy how to sort of get clients. And I found that was the counterintuitive. So that's really what inspired me to really go and help people through that. And then also when you think about visibility and all of that, sometimes and the overgiving, those things are us just self-abandoning. Like we're not giving ourselves what we need. And I can give you this experience I had last year. I had the best year of my whole 10 years of business. And I was so booked that I was like, oh my gosh, I am so booked. I don't even have time to go to the bathroom. And in order for me to go to the bathroom at the farm, I've got to walk I have to walk 5 minutes to get to the place where there's a bathroom. And I didn't have enough time because I had so many clients that I was like, oh my gosh. And so I realized, oh, that's me self-abandoning. I didn't give myself 5 minutes. So I was like, okay, I'm going to change all of my sessions to 55 minutes instead of an hour so that if I need to go to the bathroom, I've got some wiggle room. I can go and take care of myself. And yeah, it's so interesting because we build businesses thinking, oh yeah, we want all the clients. And then when we get them, we're like, oh my gosh, I totally just overbooked myself.
Oh yeah. When you put that out there and you're just, when you start, you want the clients. And then when they're here, you're like, oh my goodness, it's like, totally. And then you feel guilty, right? I mean, I always do, you don't have enough time, but you have to make that time for self-care as well. It's so important.
Yeah, but it was so interesting that even that little 5-minute wiggle room, it gave me so much freedom and relief for I don't have so much pressure to get it all done and figure all of that out and try to squeeze in something for myself in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
It really, I could feel it be much lighter in my energy when I did that. And it's what I'm teaching other people to do as well. It's I've got to make sure. And it's that idea, I could say no to people because I could say I'm closed. But no, I could squeeze this one person in because they really need this. And I'm working with the horses. So what, I'm not going to say no at that point. And now I'm like, oh, no, I need to say no.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So this year will be a way better experience from that experience of learning what it's like to be 100% booked.
Very good. Number 3, how can a self-trust igniter who help women gain clarity and help them with decision-making and gain momentum?
Yeah. So I think it goes back to really feeling in the body. So my zone of genius is actually helping people who can't feel in their bodies. How do they be able to get guidance from their body, and how can they tune in, and how can they be grounded and really be in this body? Because a lot of times, especially with healers, they sometimes they can be up in sort of the 5D or in the cosmos because that's really fun and feels safe and they feel connected and, you know, they love being connected to source in that way, but they're not on the ground. Like they're like half the time they're up in the air, and being able to work with the horses helps you stay grounded in the earth. And I feel that once you're doing that, you can really feel in the body for the yeses and the nos and what you can be doing and what you can be using your discernment. And that's really self-trust. Like I find that sometimes we will trust like a dark moon. We will trust that the moon is there, even though you can't see it, but we won't trust ourselves to make a decision. And that to me is like the biggest lesson, is like being able to help them understand that they can trust themselves. They can trust their body. Even a lot of people come to me when their body is rejecting them. Like they're have an autoimmune, or, you know, they don't have energy. Like I can work with someone who's like I have a client, she was like laying down flat for 6 months. She really had no energy. She could barely get on our call. And I wasn't with her in person. She was a virtual. And I did one session with her. And now it's like, I follow her on social media and I see her in England and she's in Switzerland and she's traveling all over the place because she is able to trust that her body is not failing her. I think that that's a really important thing to say, is that, you know, when we can trust that our body will be okay for us, then we can give to other people. It's like, we've got to be okay here first. So I think that's part of when I say I'm a self-trust igniter, it's like, that's what I'm doing. I'm like making you on fire for trusting yourself.
Beautiful, beautiful. And also with the Reiki, that helps, that self-Reiki.
Yes.
Help build that up as well. Well, that was our last question. As we've been talking, is there something you may have forgotten or something you'd like to share with the listeners? The floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've covered so much. I just really want to say that there is a misconception with people when they think they need to feel the fear and do it anyway. Like, I just want to say that don't do things pushing through fear, because you're not going to get the result that you want. And you might also, it just doesn't feel good. It's not necessary. And learning how to let go, release fear, and then do the thing will serve you way better.
Right. Forced is not meaningful.
No, I agree.
All right, Jen. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this Ready, Set, Reiki journey. I really appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedule. 5 minutes for bathroom break. Thank you so much. Joining me.
Thank you.
All right, my beautiful listeners, if you would like your question featured on Ready, Set, Reiki, reach out, www.readysetreiki.com, or find me on social media. I'm Tracy Seawright, and this has been Ready, Set, Reiki. You did it!